Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Tanis Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy. I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Jennifer Tarkovsky.
Hello.
And we have a wonderful special guest for you today, Dr. Lori Leyden. Welcome, Lori.
I'm thrilled to be here again. Yeah, it's been a year. We figured out.
It's been that long. Oh my goodness, we have to change that.
Yeah, we were looking just before you popped on, and it was almost to the day, the 16th
Really?
of December.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
I've been a little busy since then.
Yes, I would imagine. So tell us a little bit about what's been going on.
Oh my goodness. Well, I had quite a challenging health 18 months, which you know a little bit about. But I learned one of the most important lessons, spiritual lessons, life lessons. And so it was an 18-month illness with 2 surgeries and a near-death, and my second near-death experience. I keep beseeching the divine that I do not need to be in the hospital to get these messages.
Yes.
But I will tell you that the 2 messages I did receive, which are so important, is it's time to release every part of your separation story. Of course, I thought I already did that, but apparently not. And then what I also learned, I was in really horrendous pain, and it was a result of a malpractice situation. But I immediately forgave everyone related to the issue. I forgave everything you could imagine. And so while I was in this tremendous pain, I never experienced suffering, because suffering comes when we have a story about the pain that we're experiencing. And this was such a profound experience, no matter what was happening, even when I was lingering on the other side. I still was fully present to negotiate the hospitals and the doctors and advocate for myself. And it's a profound invitation to people that, pain is inevitable, as we know that quote, but suffering is optional. And it's all about, if it's a story from your negative ego, that's what creates suffering. And had I been unable to forgive, had I been unable to release the story around what had happened to me, I have a belief that, I ask people, what do you want more than your grief and your trauma? Because you cannot call in the healing that you're seeking if the story about the grief and trauma is more important. And that does not mean to negate the pain that we're in and the things that we find, the circumstances we find ourselves in. But it's being able to transcend that and continue to trust in the divine, to trust in some order or meaning making out of it. And I'll just say one other thing, and then we can dive more deeply. There were times in that 18 months, I invite people to be in wonder every day. And so there are 2 forms of wonder. I wonder what the heck is on the other side of this. Or I wonder what's possible on the other side of this. And I tried to make the latter more prevalent than the former.
That takes a lot of courage, your story, to be able to do that. So,
well, hopefully I did it so other people don't have to.
Yes, good.
And you can send your checks to me at...
I think Leah has an idea about sending. So she found sending little hearts into the area of her body that hurts and speaking sweetly to it. and thanking it has helped.
I'm so grateful for that. And I am 100% recovered.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We are happy to hear that. Yes.
Thank you, Leah.
And we'll just say a quick hello to Kaylee here.
Hello.
Happy Monday, Kaylee. And we have Nalani. Welcome, Nalani.
Hello.
And Leah, of course. Hello, Leah. And she has heard that passion begets suffering. So that's an interesting. Yes, thank you, Nalani. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Completely, thank you.
Awesome. Well, maybe we should just fill in the forecasts and the transits, and then we'll come back to that, and you can tell us how that's affecting your work and whether you're shifting and what's shifting and all of that. All right. So when we look at our solar flares have been fairly quiet the last couple of days, which is kind of nice. The KP index has been quiet, was up a little bit here, but it's been fairly quiet again. I will tell you that there is a bunch of downloads coming down that we are not measuring because I think we are all feeling it. There's a lot of light coming down. So, and that is kind of evident here with the Schumann being at 51 today. And so we are seeing an elevated, of course, the baseline is 7.8 hertz. So when this is elevated to here, and sometimes 300, but even here, we will feel it in our body. And so we have a lot going on. I have felt as well that we have these light codes coming down galactically that are really permeating into everybody and changing how we feel, how our bodies work, and all this wonderful stuff. So, Jen, what have we got with our transits?
Our transit. So yesterday, if you felt a shift happen, the 14th, we moved into the gate 11. So the gate 11 is the gate of peace. It's the gate of ideas that are stimulation for reflection. So this energy brings us through the shadow of obscurity to the siddhi of light through the gift of idealism. And it's so interesting. Again, like we're looking at this fear of confusion, the pressure to have the answers, to know what something is. So I loved your I wonder kind of conversion there as you were sharing, because it really does fit with this energy that we're in at the moment. Because the gate 11 asks us to examine the stories that we tell ourselves, the ideals that we chase, and notice whether or not they're serving truth or if they're creating noise in our experience. And so for, this, I say week, but, there's 6 days, so until the 19th, we're being asked to soften the mind and open the inner eye. Can we allow insight to emerge organically rather than trying to force that clarity? And if we can do that, then this transit is going to hold space for us with the power of imagination, the danger. It's going to help us to understand the danger of over-identifying with beliefs. And there's a beauty to the mental spaciousness that can come when we allow clarity to arrive on its own time. And so this is the difference between allowing for that inspiration versus the mental fixation. And, I know we can, I can speak to that spinning, right? That the mind does, that keeps us the victim of the mind, whether it's confusion or overthinking, that fear of not knowing. And so the shadow here, it really shows up when the mind becomes crowded with all the ideas, but there's no grounding in the present moment. And so you might have those, I call it the sneaking whisperer, right? That idea of, oh, you have to figure this out. It's not going to be okay until you figure this out, right? You should understand this by now. Why don't you get this? What's wrong with you? Why can't you understand, right? Or like those kinds of thoughts that might be coming in. And so if they're showing up for you, instead of giving into that mental insidiousness, can you take a step back and go, wait a minute, this is the energy right now. But this energy also, I don't have to go into the overthinking and the looping and all of that. I can actually move past this to that like inspired vision, right? So the gift of this energy is when this thinking moves and all of a sudden it becomes a wellspring of inspired ideas, right? So if we can hold it lightly as opposed to that grasping to it, if we can let go of that rigidity or that attachment to having to have it a certain way, then creativity can come through, visionary thinking, openness to new perspectives, that mental clarity that we want, that we're really striving for. It, as long as we're chasing it, we're not going to be able to find it. But if we can just step back, it's like, okay, now it has the opportunity to come in and come to us. And in that space, we open to the potential to be sitting in that siddhi, that light, that enlightened state where nothing needs to be perceived, right? Confusion can just vanish and the idea is no longer clung to. So our perception can be really, really clear because we're ebbing and flowing with what's coming, right? That idea of light as the siddhi, light doesn't argue with things. It doesn't need to convince anything. It just reveals, right? The light just goes, boom, here you go. There's nothing more to it. And I think that's such a beautiful example of what this energy can do for us. So throughout the week, just notice, like, where am I overthinking instead of allowing clarity to emerge? What happens when I let myself be in the not knowing? And the affirmation that goes with this, that can be really powerful, kind of our mantra for the week, is I allow clarity to arise naturally. My mind is spacious and light reveals what is true.
Beautiful. Can you say that again, please?
I absolutely can. I allow clarity to arise naturally. My mind is spacious and light reveals what is true.
I'm laughing at a comment because I think it was something similar to what we were talking about before we actually came on. Leah, were you listening to our conversation? That's funny. So neutrality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And, I think they all kind of tie together. That idea of, I got no more to give, right? Like, there is that piece.
There are no more ducks to give.
Right. But it's so fascinating. So to what you were saying, Lori, like, I loved that when you were talking about that shift that happened for you and being able to be in the experience without the suffering because of the story, right? When we allow the story to go, and that's so in line with the energy of what we're sitting in right now. Can I let go of the story?
Mm-hmm.
The synchronous, everything you just said, Jennifer, is like what I've been living this last year and what I talk about all the time. So I'm not surprised because with the two of you, alignment is always, we just step into the field of alignment and there you have it. But even your words, as we worry about, or we don't feel safe in uncertainty, the truth is there is nothing certain in our lives ever. So we're living in that uncertainty with every breath, but it's just about how much inner safety can we find in the trust of our lives, the trust of the circumstances, the trust that we can make meaning out of what is happening in a way that allows us to grow as opposed to shrink. And so much chaos in the world right now that a lot of people are feeling helpless and hopeless. And I think it's important to remember a lot of people feel like that they cannot be happy if there are bad things happening in the world, or that they too have to suffer because other people are suffering. But I have a very different feeling about all of that, which is if we've been given the gift of having something joyful in our lives, of having something to be grateful for in our lives, then who are we not to dwell in that energy? Because that lifts us to a resonance where not only does it lift ourselves, but it lifts other people. And certainly my work in traumatized communities has proven that over and over in Rwanda and Sandy Hook and Parkland and Australia. I found that when I could be appropriately lighthearted and appropriately compassionate and find some humor in the moment, people were just relieved. I mean, it was just this, for just a moment, get us out of our heads and into our hearts. And humor connects us all. So this is no time on the planet to be wallowing in the fear and the unsafety, because every one of us makes a difference. Our energy field makes a big difference to the collective. And so we have to, I say your greatest service work in the world is being in service to your own healing, because everything we heal in ourselves sets up that resonance field to unfold in the world. So trust yourself to focus on yourself, and the seeds of your destiny will emerge from that.
I think it was Wayne Dyer that said one high vibration person can raise the vibration of 25,000 others. And it's probably higher than that now, yes, because our vibration has raised as a planet. But that always stuck with me when I heard that years ago, because that is what we do, is we have to work on ourselves and do our own work. And that way we know we're helping others.
And you talk about the ebbs and the flows. I talk about this a lot because I'm really good in the flow. And then I'm really good in the ebb. And then I'm not. And then I'm not. In the flow, there aren't enough hours in the day. And in the ebb, there's too many hours in the day. And this speaks to what has just been happening for me energetically, because, after the year that I had, or the year and a half, of course, if you've met me yet, I went back to work a week after 2 emergency surgeries. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, I just have to do my obligation. And then I would get off my Zoom calls and be like, and so along came September, and all of a sudden I was really tired. And I was like, what am I tired for? But I finally surrendered to the need to rest and integrate all that had happened. It wasn't that I was unconscious to it, but, life goes on. And so in September, I was just like, okay, I have time, I'm integrating, yes. And then there comes a point where you're like, could I just have a hint? Just give me something. No. Today, maybe? No. Okay. Patience. And then about 3 weeks ago, like, just because I took that time, I spoke to my soul, and I allowed my heart to have some room. And it needed that integration so that what I was moving toward, the doors would be wide open, and I had to shed, any limiting, anything that was limiting me. So I like to reframe my surgeries as saying that I replaced my first and second chakras, which is a perfect foundation for stepping into an expanded future.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in this flow. Now it's like, okay, calm down. You don't have to work 12 hours a day now. But to our listeners, just to trust. This is all about trust. And I feel like that I have a new set point now. And my set point is stillness. And so, there's 5 stages of embodied grace, and we go from separation from the divine to stirring, which you were mentioning earlier. My word for that is stirring, and then into surrender and stillness. And now it's like old things that used to niggle at me. I'm just in this stillness. Like, my physiology does not get disrupted, which is a gift that I would love to give everyone on the planet, because when your physiology is regulated, you are connected to the divine. It's from and in the body, which very few people talk about.
It's true.
Yeah. I think we spend so much time, especially on a spiritual journey, getting out of the body and not being present and not being grounded in it. And the more, actually I was just talking about this earlier today with some people, how, we swing, right? Like, we start off and we, as kids, I think we come in knowing a bit more than we realize, right?
Yes.
And then we get totally caught up in everything that the world has to offer. And that becomes the reality that we hold. And then we go on this spiritual journey and we're like, oh, wait a minute. And then it's like, no, I don't want anything to do with all of this. I want to go right back to, all of the spiritual stuff. And eventually, though, we have to come into that place of, like, yes, I am spiritual, but I am also here to have a human experience. And so now where do I stay in that balanced place?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We do that with so many things, don't we? We go to one extreme and then back, and it becomes that balancing act for many things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we got to tighten and swing just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, and I love the way that you talked about that, right? Like that separation, and then there's the stirring, and we want something more, but we don't know what or how to get to it. And eventually we end up in that surrender where it's like, I'm just swinging. It's what it is. And then as we let go more and more, we end up in that stillness, right? Where we find that balanced place.
Well, I like to talk about, most of us are praying in the beseeching mode. Please give me this and I'll do that. And we negotiate. Like, can you really negotiate with the divine? I don't know. Maybe you can. But in this place, we don't take time to listen. So here we are. Please give me this. Please give me this. But we're never quiet enough to actually figure out whether we're getting it or not.
Yes. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Prayer in the listening mode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Meditation.
Well, and we get so caught up in the blinders, right? This is how I want whatever, and it needs to show up just like this. And then because we're so focused on just this thing that we have to have, we miss all the other opportunities that divine has given us to have that thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're only looking for it one way.
It's like that story of the person that's caught in the flood.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. I will have help.
Yes.
And the boat goes by. Nope, it's okay. I've asked for help. I'm going to get help. That one.
Mm-hmm.
And then helicopter comes by.
Mhm.
No, it's good. I'm good.
And then he gets to the gates of heaven and says, God, why didn't you save me? Well, I sent a boat. I sent a helicopter.
Exactly. You turn them down. And you have free will. So
What makes that? I call it form versus function, right? So we're focused on the form, but not the function. And when I got the call to Rwanda, I was actually setting an intention to call in my spiritual romantic partner. I mean, he was 6 feet tall. He had blue eyes. He blah, 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 blah. And I could feel the quickening. And then I got this email from Rwanda asking if they could translate my first book into Kinyarwanda. And my heart leapt because Rwanda was always close in my heart after the genocide. And when I was preparing myself to go to Rwanda, I did that with deep shadow work to discover who was the murderer in me. Could I sit with a woman whose family had been murdered and atrocious torture and whatnot? And during all of that preparation, and then when I went and just fell in love with everything there, and I realized this is my spiritual partner. I got a country, not a guy. So I think I'll have to tighten up my intention setting. But then I did it again, and I got Sandy Hook, Connecticut. So I got a town that time. But it really brings forward, what did I need to be with a spiritual romantic partner? I needed deep intimacy with myself. And I received all of that and more. But had I been, blind to it, blind to the function of it, I would have, some of the most important things in my life would not unfold.
Mhm. Yeah. It's amazing how we get presented with those opportunities, right? It is divine. It is divine in what we get presented. There's things that they just come across, and you're like, okay, we just say yes, and there's a reason.
And
That's
there's
what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened with the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact for me. I was talking to somebody totally different, and they're like, do you want me to introduce you to this guy? I was like, okay.
Right?
Next thing I know, I'm working with the Alliance. Yeah. And Galactic Ambassador and all that. It's just, these things, the smallest yes and no decisions can really change how we show up. They can change our destiny in that.
Absolutely. Right? And what's going on in here often gets in the way of honoring that yes or no appropriately, because we tell ourselves all these stories. Oh, your gut in that moment. Yeah, I want to go talk to this person. Sure, I can put my energy towards that. And then I was like, well, I don't know. What are they going to talk about? And what do they want to say? And I don't know if I want to talk to them. And what are they going to, right? Like our mind just, it can do that if we let it get in the way. Right?
It's true. So. That I think is one of our biggest jobs, is staying out of the way to allow the divine to work through us.
Yeah. Well, I once did a very deep meditation, and I set an intention again to heal with the sacred masculine. And I thought I was going to be hanging out in the arms of God, and he was going to be whispering loving words to me. And in the middle of my meditation, I hear this booming voice. Pretty effing hard to see God when you're so busy effing being God. And I was like,
who said that?
And then I, had to research the ways in which my controlling nature might have been being God, which which was a huge release for me. But of course, it had to come in a shocking way because in the contrast to what I was expecting.
Of course.
Yes.
Well, we all have divine within. Maybe it's not you being God in that sense. Maybe it's that
Well,
we are
little
God.
small g is what
Yeah.
I would say. Small g. Right.
Well, it's fascinating, right? Because that idea of the divine within is that part of us that is connected to the allness. It doesn't have an individuated agenda the way that the ego does, right? That the little self does. So it's, that moment of like, oh, no, little I is going, me, I'm in charge. I know everything. And it's like, whoa, we
No.
really can't operate that way. There's
But what are the times that we start to control the most is when we feel the uncertainty, the fear of the uncertainty. So it's certainly it's a protective method strategy, but it rarely works well in the long term.
No, not at all. It's interesting, and I probably shared this on the show before, but there's a poem that I remember reading as a kid, and it stuck with me my whole life. Just it was so powerful, and so it's talking about God, divine, however you want to do it, but it goes, as children bring their broken toys with tears for us to mend, I brought my broken dreams to God because He was my friend. But instead of leaving Him in peace to work alone, I hung around and tried to help with ways that were my own. Finally, I snatched them back again and said, oh God, how could you be so slow? He said, what could I do, my child? You never would let go.
I love that.
That's beautiful, eh? It's true.
Yeah, there's a reason it stuck with me.
We got to learn to stay out of our own way.
Repeat it 1,000 times.
Yes.
Well, and this is it. And, even when we talk about that, like those moments of surrender, for me, those biggest turning points of surrender were going, I keep messing this up. Little I, who thinks they know, is not tapping in. I am not getting that divine inspiration coming through. I am trying to figure it all out, and I'm just digging myself deeper and deeper here. I give up. Like, I can't do this anymore. I won't make it if I keep trying to do it myself.
Yeah. And that's like Brina says, I think it's about control. If we let go and let God, the door's open.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Looking at the doors to watch them open.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And that's that listening piece, right? And I've shared that story about, really being stuck and needing to have a change and could not make it happen on my own. And it was that moment of laying there and going, okay, I surrender. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help myself. I don't know how to help my kids. I don't know how to move forward from here. And then just listening to that still small voice. Get up. Get in your car. I'm going to show you exactly where you need to go. And every stop sign, every light, every intersection, go this way. Okay. No idea where I am. Right? But it's how I found exactly where I needed to go.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of my adventure when I was 12 and got left behind on the subway at 9:00 at night. And I had no idea what to do. This was before cell phones. And I tried to figure it out. And I couldn't figure it out. I went up to see if there was anybody at the front kiosk. There's nobody there. And I remember standing there. I'm looking outside and it's pouring rain. The thing is all closed. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I give up. I don't know what to do. And they gave me a phone number. And it was where I needed to be, was that phone number. And so like I was like, Tell me what to do. I have no idea. Yeah. It's pretty amazing when they step in at those times.
I'll say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I love what you were sharing about the idea of being in pain but not suffering.
Yeah.
Right? Like we can be in such difficult places and we don't have to suffer. We do when the mind jumps in, but we don't have to.
Well, it also allowed me to be in touch with my inner wisdom about what I needed and what needed to happen next so that I could partner and sometimes override the medical input I was getting. I'm not suggesting that people do that. I'm just saying that there are some times when it is appropriate to question.
It's advocating for yourself.
Thank you.
Right? Advocating.
Mm-hmm.
Standing up for your beliefs and what you feel is right for you, because we're all different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a comment from Ashraf. Environment turning into story, sharing out for healing with elevated purposes of life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's that story, the story we tell ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do a lot of reframing in sessions with clients.
Yep.
Okay. First, is that even true? Well, no.
That's a good question.
What is truth? Is it truth for you?
Mm-hmm.
The truth, say a truth, as
Yes.
Khalil Gibran will say.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's pretty incredible when we look at things and from that perspective of, it's a truth, but that doesn't make it true or ultimate truth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then it's like, okay, well, why is it a truth for you? It's a truth for me because these are the lenses that I see everything through. These are the biases that I hold, the conditioning that's there for me, whatever it is. Or if I've been able to strip through that, then this is why it is a truth for me. Right? But either way, it's a truth for me in this moment. That doesn't make it the truth.
You brought up the magic word.
Lenses.
These are very much a metaphor, right? I look through rose-colored glasses and I mirror back.
Mm-hmm.
Very cute. Love that.
And now you can see my screen, see?
You have mirrored it back.
I have mirrored it back.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you find, so a lot of people find when they have near-death experience, their connection, psychic abilities, intuition enhances. Did you have that experience?
Yes. Well, that started with my first near-death experience 21 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to dream in color. I received guidance that I didn't ask for. I mean, it was accelerated. And
Mm-hmm.
at this time, again, there was this, well, that I have just now really integrated, is really, I feel like an up-leveling of my circuitry, my physiology. Because even, and this was true before, but more so now, even if I try to make a story out of something, I can't get traction with it. Do you know, like something happened the other day, and normally I kind of love righteous indignation once in a while. I don't know about you people.
It's an interesting tool. Yeah.
And so something came up that I ordinarily would be calling my friends saying, can you believe this? And I remember the thing was happening, and this is what I learned in Rwanda. So the thing is happening, and this conversation is unfolding, and I went, oh, this is what we're doing now. And it was like, oh, they want to go there. Okay. There was no, like, I didn't even have to take a breath. And this is such a gift because of everything that's going on in the world and the work that I do in the world. It's just a more firmly seated, it's moving into synergy, which is really all the internal parts of myself feel very aligned. And now the groups that I'm interacting with, the people, it's a whole different elevation for me anyway. And I've been working with a group of Ukrainian mediators since the war started there. And in the last 2 months, I did a 8-week pilot program for 40 government mediators from every sector of the government. And I had been dreaming about this for years, but never did I imagine that I would be working with government leaders who had been experiencing war for 4 years. And, I bring a very spiritual bent to this approach. And before the program started, I was just sitting in myself, and I was like, well, I don't know, should I edit some of this because they're government people, or they're in war, and who am I to talk about the divine, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, who am I to even do this? And of course, I sit in meditation, and the answer is, ain't no effing time to waste. And I just said, I can't edit myself. And so as soon as I started doing that, creating a safe environment for people, it was astonishing, the shift with this group. They felt, it was as if someone was speaking to their hearts, like, oh, we have permission to go there. Plus, they were sharing their pain and their suffering. And I shared my experience. And by the end of the 8 weeks, honestly, we're talking about PTSD, complex PTSD beyond anything we will ever know. And yet they did the physiological regulation, and they did the serenity prayer, and they did, all these things that I was supporting them with. And I introduced those 5 stages of embodied grace, and they recognized where they were in the stirring. And we actually moved into surrender and a little bit of stillness. And now they're going to go back into their families and their work and share this with other people. It's extraordinary. But had I been afraid to make a mistake, or, I just said, look, I just have to come from my heart. This is what I'm bringing to the table. This is what I know. This is what I don't know. But trusting myself to be in the infinity circuit of love with these people changed me, and allowed me to be more seated fully in what I knew to be true. But imagine, had I frittered away that opportunity by playing it safe, whatever that means. And now a field of possibilities have opened beyond my imagination.
Beautiful.
So it's a miracle. It's a miracle. And I just can't say no to miracles anymore, because things don't go well when I say no to miracles.
Well, the miracles the chose path. So definitely. That's awesome.
It is really a beautiful thing, though, to recognize that we have that capacity to see miracles in our everyday lives.
Yes.
And then we can also not. And it's not, the universe, when it wants to give us something, it keeps trying, right?
Mhm.
And I think that that's a wonderful thing, that it doesn't give up on us when we get caught up in those very narrow-minded ways.
I'm very grateful.
Just be careful, because the 2x4s get bigger and bigger.
They do.
That right there. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I do believe, and look, when I say this, I think we can't control what happens to us, but we can control the meaning we give to what happens for us. And I did recognize, just like what happened 21 years ago, that clearly the divine was giving me an opportunity to take a time out to reconsider the path that I was on, which would have kept me playing small, if you will. And I don't mean that from ego, just simply, I've got this soul yearning that is trying to move me in the direction to which I came here to be and do.
Mhm.
And so I have promised that I do not need, again, a hospital experience to reconsider my path forward. That I promise, I'm committed to live.
Yep.
What she's
Are you hearing? Like, she's good. No 2x4s.
please advocate for me. Yes.
It's so true, though. Like, sometimes these miracles that show up for us do hit us upside the head because we aren't listening and we're not doing what is potentially there. And so we end up needing the 2x4 periodically, because it's like, whoa, like, oh, okay, I'm listening now, and so I think the more that we are in that place of I'm listening, the less likely we are to need another 2x4.
I mean, you might as well write it across the sky, but if I'm not looking up, I'm not going to see it.
I think we should ask them to put it across our computer screen. I think I might see it
the
more.
forehead right here. Like, just every time I'll listen. Okay.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Yeah, but sometimes you're frozen. I'm listening. But then it doesn't go. Because you're like, okay, give it to me now.
I remember there was one of the early in my journey, and I went to take my son to an audition in Toronto, and we're at this restaurant. And I was just starting to sort of get these kinds of messages, and this just shows how insistent they are. So I came out of the washroom, and my mom was talking to the owner, and I'm hearing, as I'm approaching them, tell her she has beautiful energy. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell her that. This is happening with them. I'm not going to tell her that. That's weird. At that time in my life, that was weird, right? Now, of course, it isn't, but at that time it was.
So on buses and whatever.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not telling her that. And then we start to walk towards the stairs to leave. And they're like, tell her she has beautiful energy. And I'm like, I'm not telling her that. It's too weird. It's out of my comfort zone. And then we start to walk to the top of the stairs, and we're just about to go down. And I'm like, well, I didn't tell her. I was a little bit on that sort of, being a little sassy. And then next thing I know, just as I go down the stairs, the pop guys come and they start bringing pop up, and I can't get down the stairs. And they're like, see, tell her she has nice energy. I was like, fine. So I told her, and she burst into tears. And she was like, I so needed to hear that today. And I was like, oh. and I almost didn't do that. So those types of things, you start to feel like, okay, that was part of my training, for bigger stuff. But it was, I was very insistent.
Right. Well, and again, that describes when I've been in these traumatized situations. In Rwanda, I was working with a group of 50 women leaders, and because there's no more men, because they had been killed in the war. And it came to me, I was going to do a process with them, and it said, the voice said, ask them what they want more than their grief and their trauma. And I'm like, oh, NFW. And these people have gone through trauma not even in the world. And so, but of course I'm like, well, I didn't come 9,000 miles away to stop listening. And I asked this question as we moved into a process, and there was a woman who I really wanted her approval. She was kind of the head people. And after the process, I asked, how people were feeling, and Mama Lambert stood up and she put her hands like this, and she had a very serious, and I was like, ooh, she looks very serious. And she said, Imana Ishimwe, we need more of this. And Imana Ishimwe means praise Jesus. We need more of this. And and the answer was, we want peace in our hearts and peace in our country. Yeah. So those people could say that. Mm-hmm. Who am I not to ask that question of myself and every other person I work with? But they taught me that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and this is, this, when you when a space is created that is truly and genuinely safe, true change happens. Mm-hmm. Safe may mean something different for everyone, but the release and emotion it gives us is common. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mick. Beautiful. And I think that you were creating that for them.
Yeah. I was the vessel. Mm-hmm. And luckily I said yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's an interesting question for you. May I ask, did you see any ADHD or autism? It was a typo.
Oh, yeah.
For autism.
You mean in Rwanda?
I think that's what she means.
Yes. So look, it's very, very difficult because everyone in the country has complex PTSD. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that a lot of trauma is misdiagnosed as autism and other diagnoses. So and where they were at the time developmentally, that was the least. That wasn't even on anyone's radar. Didn't have any legitimacy because people were just trying to survive. Mm-hmm. But I did, I do try to educate as many people as possible. Even mental health professionals are not adequately trained in what trauma is and how that is distinct from other diagnoses. So that's a whole thing. But thank you for the question. Mm-hmm. It's a big question.
Yeah, that would be a difficult thing to diagnose, I would think. Mm-hmm. Like to differentiate them.
Right. Mm-hmm. Are they not talking because they have cognitive deficits, or are they not talking because neurologically their bodies are in overdrive? Yeah. And they've never felt safe in their. I work with orphan head of households who had never felt safe in their bodies their entire lives. And when we do these processes where they feel safer in their bodies, everything is possible. Mm-hmm. And so that's the greatest gift I could bring with me to them.
Mm-hmm. So this is an interesting Ashraf. ADHD you can see with children when medium vessel is near to them. So I think what he may be suggesting is when they're getting messages. that creates that distractionary thing. I think there is the biochemical aspect to it too. I think it may be a combination of things with ADHD.
But that is true when there's a distraction, because you've got a whole chorus of, information coming in, and you don't have a way to filter it or understand what it is. It very much can be an easy distraction.
Well, the noise is acting on the energy of the talking is acting on your system. So it's going to have that distractionary effect.
Well, I would ask your listeners if they've heard of the telepathy tapes, which is working with autistic kids and their deep, spirituality and amazing wisdom and gifts that they have to share.
Yeah, they're pretty incredible.
A friend of mine wrote a book, and she wrote this book about autism because her son had severe autism, and they did all sorts of things to work with him to allow him to communicate. And one of the methods worked, and he was able to communicate. And she said, "How can I support you?" And he was like, "Just love me. That's all I need." Right? He said in it, he chose this, and he just wants love.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're at our
5-minute time. We haven't picked a new deck, but I have this. It's the same one that we've been using, and I was just shuffling it. And of course, beautiful cards always come out, but I got Wrap Yourself in a Handmade Quilt.
Oh,
beautiful.
Right, that warm hug of love that we all need right now. So I'll read this one too.
Yes.
Wrap yourself in a handmade quilt. You need nurturing, grandchild. Receive the love of your grandmothers, both in human and in spirit form. Take this moment to wrap yourself in a quilt. Enjoy the nourishing creativity of your sacred feminine lineage. Knitted blankets made by your auntie or quilts sewn with love by your grandmother feel different than those created by a machine. Sewn within every stitch is a gift of their laughter, their prayers, and their good intentions for you. Feel it now as you wrap yourself. Feel the maker's warm wishes and thank them for their efforts. Love is never ending and returns to you in a circle. Know that you have the ability to join them in the realm of the sacred feminine through your tears, laughter, prayers, and good intentions for them. Right now, as you revel in the comfort of a blanket, feel how you are connected to your sacred lineage. If you do not have a homemade quilt of your own, seek one out at a secondhand store or craft market. You may not know the relative who made it, but you can inherit their love and attention by wrapping yourself in their work. Love never goes away. It is up to you to open your heart to experience it.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah, they take so much time, right? And you can always feel the love that they put into every stitch. What a beautiful analogy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's such a wonderful thing for, all of what we were talking about in this idea of surrender and going through and allowing ourselves to be in the experience, to have that warmth wrapped around us with all that love and intention.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always a joy to be with the two of you. It's like we just drop in and the hour is gone.
It goes so fast. It's awesome. What do you have going on, Lori? Is there something that you'd like to share with everybody that you've got going on?
So for people who are feeling like like there's not much they can do to impact the world right now. I'm a co-founder of an event that's happening on Sunday, the solstice, which is also the United Nations World Meditation Day. And so we've created this event at www.millionsmeditatingnow.com. And you can go and be part of, we're over 1 million now. So you can register as an individual or a group and simply show up on Sunday and meditate with 1 million other people around the world for peace and stillness. And what a better time for us to be doing that. And as you mentioned earlier, we impact the resonance field. And if one person affects 25,000, what is 1 million going to do? So this is something where we can raise the vibration of the planet, where we can, as Jennifer was talking about, the energies that are current right now, we can amplify that and feel some sense of connectedness and that we really are doing something. So you're all in.
Yes, absolutely. That's a beautiful initiative. We've seen spikes in the Schumann, really big spikes when we've had meditation days. And I just think there's going to be way more participation now than there were even 5 years ago. So many people, so many more are doing that type of thing. Joining us in meditation.
Yeah. And to just hold that space and know that you're part of the collective.
Because we're all connected.
That we are. We are. Beautiful.
What have you got going on, Jen?
What do I have going on? Well, I'm here every Monday. Let's see. This week we've got support groups on Saturday. So that is, you can go to beyondbeinghuman.org/support-groups and register for that. It's just an open forum on Zoom where we can all connect and share about our journey and where we're at. It's not recorded or anything. It's just a safe space, as we were talking about earlier, where we get to, connect and hold space for one another, wherever it is that we are in this journey. If we want to chit chat, we can. If we want to deep dive into something, we can. It's really an open place for that.
Come hang out with Jen and I. And actually talk to us,
Not just you not just in the chat. You get to actually, face to face on there with us. Yeah, so we've got that coming up, and then I have a video that's going to be coming out, I think, this week, an interview about the Leyden legacy and the life as a Lyran.
Yes.
If you guys are interested in that, as always, like and subscribe, and I will share it to my YouTube as soon as it is out and ready to go. And I think that is it for now. I know that there's a couple new For the Love of Mystics that are coming out. They're in their editing process, however long that may take, but they're on their way. So yeah, that's what I have going on. How about you?
This is a busy week for me. I have a podcast I have 2 podcasts on Wednesday. And so one of them is going up. Well, actually, I don't think the one on Wednesday is it's not being posted on Wednesday. Sorry, I'm recording it on Wednesday. It will be posted over the holidays. And but I do have Infinite Integrations that will be on at 5:00 on Wednesday with Jacqueline Richards, where we talk about integrating spiritual practices and money, financial stuff into our regular routine. The big thing for me this week is that on the weekend we are starting our next year in a day program. The Celtic Shamanic High Priestess program is starting again. So we start the initiation on the 20th of December. Last year's graduates graduate on the 21st for Yule, and so it's a big celebration for us there. And so that's a big one. And then, of course, I have the same things that Jen has. Minus the interview that she's doing. Support groups and Twillow Talk. So yeah. It has been such a pleasure, Lori.
As
It's
always.
always lovely. Always
Yes.
lovely.
Thank you for what you're doing to uplift the planet. Truly, truly.
And you. Yeah, thank you.
It's my
It's
honor.
always a pleasure.
Mhm.
Awesome. So we wrap you all in quilts of love for this week to bring you through this chapter, and we shall see you all next week. Lots of love, everyone.